Look at this global population heat map. The Northern Hemisphere, Europe, Asia, North America, is packed with billions of people glowing brightly in the dark. But as we drop down to Australia, we find an enormous dark void. Almost all the lights on this landmass are huddled together. There is just a thin glowing crescent clinging to the southeastern shore. To understand how strange this is, consider the sheer physical scale of the continent. You could fit nearly the entirety of Europe inside Australia's borders. Despite having the sixth largest land area on Earth, it ranks 55th in population. 85% of its 26 million citizens live within a mere 30 miles of the ocean. Aussies love the beach, sure, but cramming an entire nation onto the extreme outer rim of a continent is a geographic anomaly, a forced retreat from an interior that actively resists human settlement. This map shows the extreme proximity of northern Australia to the rest of the world. The northern city of Darwin is actually closer to Indonesia, a booming trillion-dollar Southeast Asian economy, than it is to Australia's own capital cities in the south. With massive trade routes practically touching its shores, why is this enormous northern coastline virtually empty? You would expect a dense network of towering, trade-focused megacities soaking up the financial benefits of the Asian market. The absence of development stems from invisible geographic and climatic walls. These natural barriers have repeatedly defeated billions of dollars in human engineering. The most obvious barrier is the Outback. The vast majority of the continent is semi-arid and desert, defined by bone-dry earth, relentless sun, and a profound lack of rainfall. In the 1930s, an engineer named John Bradfield proposed a colossal, multi-generational solution to conquer this dryness. It became known as the Bradfield Scheme. This cross-section illustrates the $30 billion plan. Engineers would capture northern floodwaters, build massive dams, and pump water over the Great Dividing Range. Gravity then takes over, flowing south to irrigate plains down to Lake Eyre, transforming the dead center into a lush agricultural food bowl. But when authorities scrutinized the plan, the math fell apart. The rainfall was incredibly unreliable, the evaporation rates under the desert sun were immense, and siphoning off the rivers would devastate natural coastal ecosystems. The project was officially scrapped, revived decades later, and scrapped again. The failure of the Bradfield Scheme proves that even with immense wealth and modern technology, brute force human engineering cannot overpower the continent's extreme aridity. If the interior is too dry, the northern coast has the exact opposite problem. It is guarded by a volatile bipolar tropical climate. During the wet season, the region is suffocated by intense humidity and battered by massive storms. Huge swaths of land flood, completely washing out roads and physically isolating entire towns from the rest of the country. Then come the tropical cyclones. These violent storms can linger for weeks, shredding modern buildings and wearing out steel and concrete infrastructure much faster than construction crews can build it. Months later, the environment aggressively flips. The dry season sets in, baking the cracked earth, evaporating the wetlands, and sparking intense, fast-moving bushfires that sweep through the eucalyptus forests. Major cities require steady access to water, reliable power grids, and unbroken supply chains. This extreme boom and bust weather cycle makes maintaining permanent infrastructure financially impossible without a massive local population to pay for it. The empty north is a forced economic surrender to an untamable, violent environment. So, Australians stay on the fringes. The crowded coastal cities are a carefully negotiated survival strategy, perched on the absolute margins of habitability. The vast, empty space behind them is far from wasted. Millions of square miles remain under the stewardship of indigenous communities, or exist as protected national parks, land that refuses to be tamed. But even this coastal balance is incredibly fragile. By studying ancient tree rings and ice cores, scientists have uncovered a hidden history of massive dry spells, including a devastating 39-year-long drought that struck the continent 8 centuries ago. Now, that deep time data is pointing toward a looming threat. Climate models predict Australia should brace for an imminent 20-year megadrought, an event that could quickly drain the nation's reservoirs down to dry dust. If a drought of that magnitude hits, the impacts will bleed far beyond Australia's borders. The country supplies 13% of the world's wheat exports and relies heavily on water-intensive coal mining. A megadrought means global wheat shortages, sudden spikes in worldwide energy prices, and the potential for mass climate migration into Southeast Asia and New Zealand. Australia's strangely empty map serves as a stark preview for the rest of the world. It reminds us that despite our wealth and engineering, Mother Nature, not human economics, dictates exactly where we are allowed to survive.